Imagine the high-stakes drama of Formula One, where every off-track whisper can shake up careers and team dynamics. Thursday at the US Grand Prix uncovered a treasure trove of insights into the aftermath of Singapore's intense race. Plus, some surprising shifts in drivers' attitudes toward their futures. Buckle up, because we're diving deep into the fallout and the feuds that could redefine the season ahead. First off, let's tackle the McLaren saga involving Lando Norris and Oscar Piastri. Following their heated first-lap collision in Singapore, McLaren conducted a thorough investigation, as detailed in their analysis here. https://www.therace.com Formula One, What's at Stake? McLaren reviews Lando Norris Oscar Piastri, pinpointing Norris as the culprit and outlining unspecified repercussions for him. Learn more at https://. Formula One Norris Consequences Piastri Singapore GP Clash McLaren F1. While the exact penalties remain under wraps, they might include Norris having to publicly shoulder the blame, a step he acknowledges as justified, stating, "The team held me accountable for what happened, which I think is fair." Alternatively, it could serve as a stern cautionary note, warning that repeating such an incident might lead to more drastic measures, like swapping driver positions within the team. Norris insists he won't dial back his competitive edge on the track, but emphasizes avoiding another Singapore-style blunder as a top priority. On Piastri's side, he presented a composed front, expressing contentment with the very productive debriefings post-race and vowing to stick to his racing style. His main focus? Flipping the script on Norris, especially after watching his championship advantage dwindle over 3 consecutive events. Written by Josh Suttle, but here's where it gets controversial. Shifting gears to Lewis Hamilton's firm stance on the swirling rumors about Christian Horner potentially joining Ferrari. Hamilton isn't entertaining the latest gossip linking the former Red Bull CEO to a move to Maranello. The Daily Mail Sport broke the story on Monday. Check it out, https://dailymail.co.uk/sport Formula Own. Article 1511, Christian Horner, Ferrari Formula One comeback, claiming Horner discussed taking over as team principal, a position he was rumored for after his Red Bull exit, only to be preempted by Fred Vasseur. Sources from the race clarify that while Horner did connect with a high-level Ferrari figure, it didn't involve job talks or replacing Vasseur. In the pre-event press conference at the USGP, Hamilton dismissed the speculation, saying he was clueless about its origins and noted Ferrari's stance on retaining Vasseur, though he admitted the noise was disruptive. "These things naturally aren't helpful," he remarked. "I know everyone back at the factory is working incredibly hard, focused, and these sort of rumors can sometimes be distracting. For me, it's really trying to keep the focus on the goal that's in front of us and building on next year's car, really continuing to build a foundation on this year so that next year we can have better execution, better overall performance." When pressed directly on the rumor's veracity and wisdom, Hamilton shut it down. "I don't, and I'm not going to entertain rumors." Teammate Charles Leclerc, fielding a query about his own future and potential moves elsewhere, broadened the critique to address Ferrari's recurring rumor mill, calling it not great and a little bit annoying. He reiterated his deep loyalty. "What I can say is what I've always said, and that's very clear. I've always loved Ferrari so much, and my only obsession at the moment is to win in red, whether it's now or in the future. And I want to bring Ferrari back to the top." Leclerc added that the constant speculation, often fueled by poor results, feels unfounded and frustrating, by Jack Cousins. Next up, Kimi Antonelli's candid admission of uncertainty amid his challenging rookie season in F1 before securing his 2026 spot. Details here. https: www.therace.com/Mercedes 2026 F1 driver lineup, Russell Antonelli contract/Verstappen. Mercedes' announcement that their lineup stays unchanged for next year wasn't shocking. George Russell has shown brightly this season, and Antonelli bounced back strongly from a prolonged rough patch mid-year. Read about it. https://Formula1/underwhelming Kimi Antonelli gets first public Mercedes criticism. Throughout those ups and downs, Antonelli has been refreshingly open about his difficulties, self-reflection, and limitations. Even if he wasn't deeply concerned about his immediate prospects, telling that he began questioning himself internally. With all the up and down, especially the difficult periods, some doubt starts to kick in, he shared. I'm really happy to have the confirmation. It still kind of relaxes me a little bit, because I know now for sure. This highlights the intense pressure Antonelli faced during a demanding year. While Mercedes plans to keep him beyond 2026, he's wisely taking it step by step, indicating there's still room for growth. Scott Mitchell-Mom. And this is the part most people miss. Pierre Gasly, already contending with the 2025 Alpine car's limitations, disclosed an extra hurdle from the last 3 races. Certain floor components weren't functioning correctly due to subpar rebuilt parts. We obviously repair stuff in terms of parts. We won't have new aero parts every single weekend, and you have some wear, he explained when the race asked for clarification. You pick a weekend where you want to put new aero parts on the car. Unfortunately, we've done some repairs, like we do usually, on some parts that I've been using since Monza, and I have something that didn't feel quite right since Monza. We've tried to work on it, but it took us some time to figure out. Eventually, after Singapore, we worked hard with the team and saw that a few aero components on the car weren't working the way they should have. So this should be fixed for this weekend. These issues capped his finishes at no higher than 16th and starts above 18th over those events. With fresh parts now in place and Alpine heading to circuits that might play to its strengths, Gasly is cautiously hopeful for the season's remainder. Though he's realistic about the 2025 setup. We're not going to go from last on the grid to suddenly 5th fastest car, he noted. I think we're still going to be struggling, but I want to believe that hopefully we can challenge for Q2 and be more in the mix, because the last few races just felt like we were suffering and not really part of any battles. He's eagerly anticipating the leap to a radically improved car and Mercedes power in 2026. Matt Beer. Now, on to George Russell's updated perspective, now that his Mercedes contract renewal is finalized, and for good reason. I'm here with a smile on my face because I'm very happy with the offer, Russell said of the deal brokered with boss Toto Wolff. And he could have been much tighter if he wanted to be. Our take on the deal, www.therace.com/Formula1/Our Verdict, George Russell new Mercedes F1 deal, curious omission. Russell stresses that finances and promotional commitments aren't his primary motivators. What's key is piloting the most competitive machine, and he believes committing to Mercedes for the upcoming rule changes achieves that. He's been somewhat confrontational this year, as seen here, https://Formula1/George Russell Mercedes F1 seat 2026 Max Verstappen Kimi Antonelli Toto Wolff. Questioning his lack of control and even bringing up Max Verstappen's influence unprompted. When the race inquired if he could gain more agency by performing strongly, Russell replied, driving fast, to be honest. But as we pointed out, his solid driving this season still led to prolonged negotiations. That's how we've got to this position, a new contract, he affirmed. Toto's always been incredibly good at rewarding those who he feels deserve it, and he'd always said, "You do the job on track and leave the rest to me." And he, to this day, still has never let me down in that regard. So I've got to continue to put my faith in him. Throughout all of this speculation, the truth is all of that was coming from you guys, and it was a nice story, and it made exciting news and whatnot. But the reality was quite different. With the contract secured, Russell now deflects the spotlight back to the media for their annoying, persistent inquiries. Borrowing his phrase, that's how the game goes. It's a reminder that while stirring the pot served him earlier, it's no longer necessary. He's content to sail smoothly with Mercedes, showing little inclination to discuss post-2026 possibilities. SMM. But here's where it gets controversial. Turning to the backlash against poorly chosen team radio clips. Fernando Alonso, the undisputed master of radio drama, explored here, https://therace.com/Formula1, unnecessary and poorly chosen new driver backlash against F1 team radio, is urging F1 to be more selective in broadcasting these exchanges. He argues they're 99% misunderstood, often poorly chosen, and it's very sad how they steal the spotlight when the racing drags. Alonso's blend of witty sarcasm and raw frustration certainly proved entertaining during the otherwise mediocre Singapore GP. He's not alone. Haas driver Ollie Behrman advocates for stricter controls. Yet reforming this is challenging, as team radio remains a major discussion driver in F1, from Piastri's Singapore outburst to Alonso's comedic gems or Ferrari's puzzling tactics. JS. However, Carlos Sainz tempers his broadcast complaint with some nuance. Post-Singapore, Sainz criticized TV coverage on Spanish radio El Partidazo de Pope for overemphasizing celebrities and girlfriends. F1 responded by affirming that on-track action is their broadcast priority. By Thursday in Austin, Sainz clarified he didn't expect a reply, noting his remarks were exaggerated. The fact that I mentioned the girlfriends or the wags, however you call them, it brought a bit of spiciness to the comments and went a bit more viral worldwide. And maybe what it should have been was just a simple critique about, I think it's clear that in Singapore, the broadcast didn't do a good job. There's other races where they do an incredible job and they show us incredible things and incredible track action. For me, Singapore was not good, but the same thing applies. I have good weekends in my life where I perform at a very high level, and other weekends I don't do a good job, and you guys analyze it. You give me a rating. I did a 4 out of 10, and then by the time you tell me, I did a 10 out of 10. And obviously, everyone's in their own right to say it. For me, Singapore was just not good enough, and they missed way too much track action. Sainz maintains his view that Singapore's coverage fell short, but retracts the idea that directors fixated on drivers' partners. At the time, I mentioned girlfriends. Looking back at it, they were not being shown too much, and it was more they were very focused on Lando and Max, like there was going to be an accident, or there was going to be an overtake. He explained, when you look at it, there was never going to be any action. But I hope they didn't take it personally, or I hope they didn't take it too hard, because it was just a simple critique of Singapore was not good enough. JS. Finally, let's explore Isack Hadjar's intriguing reversal on his Red Bull promotion timeline. As the frontrunner to join Max Verstappen at the main Red Bull squad next year, Hadjar previously insisted that 2026, not mid-season, was ideal. Citing his readiness and the rule changes eliminating Red Bull's traditional second car woes. His theory here, https://www.therace.com/Hadjar's theory for Red Bull move being way easier with 2026 cars. But hypothetically, if offered the Red Bull for the last 3 rounds of this season, would he jump at it? Yeah, definitely, he responded. I think that I would be, I don't know. But if I'm 100% sure, and get the opportunity to take some advance on 2026, then yes. But at the same time, it's a completely new car next year, so it's also pointless in a way. What about the benefits of familiarizing himself with the team and engineers sooner? Definitely helps, he conceded. Yeah, I didn't think about this, to be honest, but it's interesting. It's a good idea. For clarity, there's no sign this will happen yet. Red Bull's decision on whether Hadjar or Yuki Tsunoda partners Verstappen next year likely hinges on the upcoming US and Mexico races, though it seems to favor one way. Still, this marks a notable shift for Hadjar, possibly reflecting his increasing confidence after a standout rookie campaign and his nearing lock on that 2026 seat. JC, what do you think? Should F1 crack down harder on team radio broadcasts? Or is the drama part of what makes the sport thrilling? Do you agree with Hadjar's change of heart, or is sticking to 2026 the smarter move? And on the Horner rumors, is Ferrari making a mistake by not exploring fresh leadership? Share your takes in the comments below. Let's debate.